Recreation Commission. Roll call.
Bob Zurich. Here. John Freitag. Bob Kleppel.
Here.
Kevin Creedy.
Here.
Tessie Steffens.
Here.
Sparky Stuckenschneider.
Here.
Jeannie Miller Wood.
Here.
Dave Waymeyer. Betty Werner. Gavin Woolley.
Here.
Al Bear.
Here.
Jeff Packey.
Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes from our February 12th, or I should say your February 12th meeting.
One small correction.
Yes.
It just, in the minutes, it says I was here, and then it says I was not in attendance, and I was not here. That's all.
Neither was I.
That's all.
So with that correction, I make a motion that we accept the minutes.
I'll second.
A motion by Tessie, second by
Here.
Kevin, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Director's report.
Yes, so I was just in a building committee meeting upstairs, which is why I was running late. We recently, and Jeff also, Councilman Packey was also there. We recently went out, we sent out an RFQ for design for the old pool house, the old bathhouse, and we received 5 packets back. And so we reviewed them, and we scored them, and we're moving on. I'll be taking the top score to council in April, to April council meeting then. So that project's moving along, and this is just a design for someone to design the building for what we want to do, you know, add the offices and things like that. So nothing major yet, no pretty pictures or anything like that, but we'll be taking a design contract to council here soon for that. Recently, last Thursday, we had the Washington in Bloom Committee, the thank you event for last year and kind of a kickoff event for this year. I talked a lot. The mayor was there, Darren was there, or the city administrator was there. Some of you all were there, and then several volunteers, and they went home with some prizes and had a breakfast and learned about future plans for this year with different landscaping projects and things like that. So it was a good event, and thanks for any of you that attended. I'm happy to report our new slide will arrive towards the end of April, and then it'll have to be installed at the pool. So that's moving along. I don't think I've talked about it in a little while, but it will be here later in April, and then should be installed and ready to use by the end of May for Memorial Day weekend. Speaking of other major items that are arriving in April, the Optimus Playground will also be here in April, and that will be installed then by a contractor. We have the site laid out. I have a meeting, I think, next week with the playground vendor, but we kind of laid out the site back in January. And then once that new playground's put in, we'll take out the staff will take out the old playground once the new one's in. And then staff have been cleaning up beds, tree trimming. Yesterday we had part of Fifth Street closed down by Fulton and 47 there, Fifth Street at basically at the corner of 47 and 5th, and then that side street there, which I think is Fulton. Trimming trees, we had the big bucket truck out, and dead wooding trees. There was one that was half dead that we had to take out, and so lots going on in the park system now that it's warm. I know Four Rivers has continued working on the pavilion at Miller Post, so that's good. It's almost complete. I was up there yesterday. Things are looking nice up there. Grass is coming in. Trees survived the winter, so that's good. Next, we'll begin focusing. Park staff, maintenance staff will begin focusing on washouts that we had from the big rain in November. One of which we got stopped in the middle of at Miller Post along St. Johns Creek. We need to get back up there to finish that. We also need to the next priority, because Charles from Engineer is waiting on it for the MS4 stuff that we have to do for stormwater, is the infiltration trenches that we need to put in down at the new parking lot at Riverfront. That'll probably be the next, we'll probably go ahead and do that, get that one done, and then go up to Miller Post and finish that. They're also completing seeding and strawing the washout or the pipe, I guess washout that we had behind Motorsports, the big hill that goes down to Teeman Valley. We got that all sealed up before the big snow in January, but it didn't get seeded, sodded, and there was still a small hole there from the existing washout that we had that they filled, and it's all been seeded and strawed, I think, this week. So I think that one, I can cross that one off the books. And then we've been hiring, we are trying to hire part-time seasonal staff for day camp, park maintenance, pool, concession stand. It's been so-so finding people. And then we had our permanent part-time office assistant, Tina Baycott, is doing a transfer to the finance department for a full-time job up there. So she'll be, if you come in to pay your water bill, you'll see her behind the front desk. She's filling Bev's spot up there. And so she took what I guess would be a promotion, because she was a permanent part-time for us. She'll be a full-time city employee up there. So we'll be looking to fill that position here sooner rather than later, because it's already started to get crazy in our office down there. People are calling about everything under the sun, and rentals and day camp and pool passes, and so we'll try to get that filled very soon. And then as far as rec program goes, coming up, we have the Easter egg hunt on Saturday, April 12th. So if you want to come out to that, I'm sure Robin could use a helping hand there. It doesn't last very long, and probably about 15, 20 minutes, the whole thing's over. But there's a much more setup work that goes into it than just the 15 or 20 minutes that the kids are actually picking up eggs. And that's all I have for my report.
Thanks, Wayne. Any questions, comments?
Wayne, I've seen on the police report a few times about fires at Miller Post. Possible homeless. Is that a real issue that we're battling often, or is that just in a?
Well, I'm glad you've seen that, because I haven't seen it.
Oh,
I didn't know anything about it.
okay.
Well, I didn't hear exactly what.
In the daily police report, there's been some
Fires at,
Miller Post.
That's at the park.
Okay.
That's at the park. That's Cole Miller House.
Cole Miller
by the,
House.
No, I know that, but I've seen that, but it's been, it was stated as it was in Miller Post that basically there was homeless
Recently,
there.
or?
No,
Yeah, in the last 2 weeks.
I don't know about last 2 weeks. I know over the winter we had like 2 instances.
Okay.
At Miller
it
Post?
wasn't,
Oh.
oh,
There was one down by the quarry.
yeah, there was.
Oh, yeah, I did hear about that.
Obviously, it's not an ongoing event, if none of you guys are recalling it, so that's good to hear. I thought it was more serious.
I did see emergency personnel there, probably 2 weeks ago. And in the police report, it was listed as a fire at 100 Grand, which is Miller Post.
Right.
So evidently, somebody, more than likely, a homeless person back there built a fire and got
Okay.
called in.
Yeah.
With the recent Cole Mueller fires, and that draws attention to me that we were having more fires in the park, and is it an
Right.
issue?
Yeah.
You're shaking your head no, so that's
Good point.
good.
Nah, yeah, I wouldn't say.
Okay.
I think we're good.
Yeah, the fire department has not reached out to me or anything like that, so.
anything else on this report? Communications from the audience? Anybody want to have anything to say? Okay, old business, Wayne?
Trail connection at Riverfront Park, so the bathroom, phase one of that grant, the bathroom renovation portion is moving along. We had a pre-bid meeting in February, we had 6 or 7 bidders come in and submit bids. We selected a bidder, but I had nothing's been finalized. It hasn't gone to council yet, because I had to send everything to DNR for them to review to make sure we advertised it correctly, and that the selected bidder was on the up and up with the state and everything like that. So they double check and triple check everything. And so there was a few things they wanted us to submit to them, documents and things like that. One of them was that I actually advertised it in the newspaper and things like that. So I submitted that. Cochrane submitted the other stuff that they needed. And so we're just waiting to hear back. We need to get a notice to proceed from the state. And then once we get that, then I can take it to get it to council, and then we can proceed from there. So we're on our way. So that project will be done likely over the summer sometime, and we'll, should be able to keep some of the bathrooms open for events and things like that down there. So the plan is not to close down the bathrooms completely, because everyone's aware that there's a lot of activity and events down there. So, in fact, we got a call today saying they wanted to know why we didn't have a portable restroom down there, which we do.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
is.
So I'm not sure how she missed the big blue porta potty in the parking lot, but. Also under old business, amphitheater roof addition update. Finally, if you've seen, unless you've probably been living under a hole, you've seen it on Facebook or actually out in person. The steel is up and they're still working, and more to come on that. I met with contractor last Friday, city administrator and I and several others, on just the project and the status and things like that. One thing I can say now is they're fully aware that the East Central concert's coming up on May 9th, and it will be ready to go. May not be totally finished. Not every detail may be finished, but it'll be ready to go for them to use it. So that was our goal, and that was really our only major use, or really right now on the books, any use that we have until the fair uses it in August. So been working through that. And then just want to let you know, I know you've seen all the emails I sent and the video, the YouTube video and everything like that, but now Dave's not even here tonight. He told me he had a church obligation. He's probably volunteering at his church right now. But we had a very nice award. Dave had a very nice award at Branson through the Missouri State Parks and Rec Association conference, and met a lot of people. I know the mayor was there and the city administrator, and that was the first time I think both of those had been to anything with the Parks Conference. So I think they were impressed with the amount of people that were there, and some of the other award winners. There was a lot of the award winners were people from municipalities, not necessarily parks directors, but like mayors and a couple parks directors and park directors that had become city administrators and different things like that. And so it was neat for them to see that, I think up until this point, I don't think anyone had really been to that conference other than the parks director. So it was good to see, it is a professional organization. We're not just there playing games and doing fun stuff like that, but we do a lot of big projects like amphitheater roofs and trail connections and things like that. So that's it for old business.
That award was very, very deserving,
Yeah.
Dave, yeah.
Dave was very humble about it. I mean, he, went back, and if you watch the video, he thanks, talks about Washington, how people in Washington, that's just what they do, and that's how his family was brought up, and that's how he raised his kids, which is all very true. But very little about himself, very little about himself. That's why I was trying to pump out as much stuff as I could, because I know Dave's not sharing it or even, doing any of that on his own. So I felt like I needed to do it for him.
There was a picture and a nice article in Forerunner. That's our country club, the country club.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad.
Because he works there, so they,
Yeah, if you got that, I'd like to see it, if you
Okay.
could send it to me or
We'll get it
take a
to you.
picture of it or whatever.
yeah. New business, master plan?
Master plan, so, I sent out an email since our last meeting, and I knew at the last meeting, but I didn't want to get into it. I needed to talk to the master plan company to see if the date that you all wanted to meet would actually meet with their schedule, because every time I call them about something, they're afraid I'm gonna try to, add something, or, I was like, you need to make sure you have this in there, or you forgot this and that, and they basically told me I have to have my hands off of it until we meet on the 2nd. And then whatever changes I have and whatever changes you all have from the April 2nd meeting then can be made between April 2nd and April 30th before they just didn't want to do a bunch of changes prior to that meeting and then a bunch of changes after that meeting and screw up because there's a lot of pieces, there's several subcontractors for this master plan. There's the architect, there's the gentleman that's evaluating our staffing levels and how we function as a department and our programming and what we offer. And then the actual master plan company that's doing all the concepts and renderings for all the parks and stuff like that. And so if you change one thing here, he's got to tell the other ones too, so they're changing it in their documents, and then it all comes together at the end. So we are set to meet on April 2nd at 5:30, and then the other thing I wanted to explain, I was telling Darren, the city administrator, that you all wanted to do this, and in the contract, he had to come out here and present at city council and present it to city council kind of as the final thing. And Darren asked me to ask the master plan company if we could just combine city council with park board. You all do your thing, you ask your questions, you find out what you want to know. And he kind of envisioned council, and he's not telling them how to do their job or what they should or shouldn't do, but just that council would probably just sit back and watch and take everything in, and it would probably be more informative for council to hear you all talk and what you want to see as priority, than PDS coming to a city council meeting saying, all right, here's the master plan, this is what we looked at, this is what we did, but not really have not hear your all's input on what should be priority or what you guys like or don't like. And so that's how that all came together. I know I was getting some emails from some of you all saying, well, that's not the date we agreed on, or we only agreed that we would meet. And also keep in mind it's an open meeting, so technically anyone could come to it, also, whether it was council or someone off the street. So that's how we got to the April 2nd date at 5:30 in this room. So they're still on, I haven't heard otherwise, I'm still supposed to get a copy of this on March 14th, which is Friday. And I don't know how big it's going to be a big document. And I don't know if I'll be able to email it out all to you guys, because it might be too big. If it is too big, I'll make sure you guys get an actual hard copy delivered to your house by staff. So one way or the other, you guys will have a copy of it. And then it'll take a couple weeks unless you're going to do it every night.
Midnight oil.
Yeah, it'll take a while to get through. And then that's kind of why we have the April 2nd day, to give you and me and Darren, and the mayor and whoever, administrative staff, a couple weeks to get through it. And then, write down, take notes, what you want to see, if you have questions, what you want to see changed, what you want to talk about, what you think should be a priority versus what they have listed. Because they'll have projects with input from the public, from the survey, from myself, from staff, on what they think should be priority. And then you guys will have your opinions too, and then they'll reconvene after April 2nd and then come up with the final draft. Any questions, I guess, on that? So it'll be in this room. There won't be any fancy presentation. It's gonna be, well, I do have in your packet here, he does have the agenda there.
He's got it down pretty tight.
Yeah, he does. Because I think he was going off of, without having to charge us, I'm assuming without having to charge us any additional money, what he put in the contract for the council meeting, to come here and maybe spend an hour, hour or less presenting it to council. So basically what I'm telling you is please come prepared with your questions and comments and things like that. Any questions on that process?
I'm willing to come by and pick it up on Friday if you want.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if I get it on Friday, I don't know that I'll get it to you on Friday. It might be Monday. I could have someone
Hey, well,
deliver
someone
it.
lets us know, I'll come by and pick it up.
Because if
Yeah,
I
I
get
can
it
pick
at
it
Friday
up.
at 4 o'clock, it's gonna be hard for me to
Right.
get
It's
it
gonna be
to you.
hard for you to get it printed and organized in that amount of time, huh?
Yeah, that too.
Well, even next Monday or Tuesday, if you get it, we'll come and
Just
pick
let
it
me
up.
know when it's available, I'll come.
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, I just didn't want to inconvenience, some of you work and things like that, so if the people that have time during the day want to come pick it up, that would be great, and the others that work, we can get it to their house, if they don't have
But you,
time.
Mr. Creedy.
I'll work something out.
Let's see, the next is Riverfront Flag Plaza. Is that-
Riverfront Flag Plaza site plan. So I wanted to show you guys this. This is not the final plan, but this is a plan. And, I mean, it's pretty final. This is ideally what it will look like. So back in January, maybe, and I may have mentioned it last meeting too, and then I think I realized last meeting that you might not have seen this yet. So this was last worked on in July of last year, but this is the Flag Plaza kind of renovation that I've been talking about that will be in conjunction but separate than the grant. And you can see I don't know if this thing works or not, if it's charged, let's see if it works here. Any red dot? Oh, it's gotta be, what did I do with that little piece? Well, anyways, you can kind of see the trail running through there, the new trail running in front of it and going towards where the pavilion would be. So that's all gonna get ripped up in front of the Flag Plaza now, and so when we started looking at that Flag Plaza is very dated, and they're like, well, if you're already tearing up the front of it, it makes, if you're ever gonna do a renovation now, it would make sense to do it now. And so I budgeted some money in the current year's budget, $75,000, to try to do that. And that's not enough money. And so I was gonna, I know the Lions have an interest, because that was their project originally, the Flag Plaza. They have an interest in helping fund some of that, some things. But I was gonna have to do some other fundraising too. I figured conservatively I was about $25,000 short. And that was with us doing a lot of stuff in-house that we likely won't have time to do. We likely won't have time to do and try to coordinate with the construction schedule of the trail too. And then we had the anonymous donor that I talked about recently, and that person would like his large sum of money to go to cover the remaining costs and any special beautification things that he or she would like to see in that project. So I think we're, should be in a good spot financially to do this plan and make it look really nice. And so in the center there, you see those two big blocks there, they're tiny bricks. That's the commemorative brick plaza you all wanted to do. That the Flag Plaza was the site that was chosen a year ago or 2 years ago now. And we've been kind of waiting for this project. Originally, we were gonna try to do it in-house, but then we started looking at how dated the Flag Plaza was, and it was kind of strange to have a really nice brick plaza inside of an area that's very dated with green asphalt, and, you know, it was just gonna look very old versus very new. And so we're kind of combining, I guess, really three projects together, the bricks, then the renovation of the actual Flag Plaza, and then the trail connection in front of it too. So when this is all done, I'm anticipating, and I probably need to, the way the state has been reviewing our documents, I probably need to get the bidding and documents and all the stuff that has to go to DNR for this project, which won't start until after October 1st at the earliest, when our next fiscal year starts. Probably need to get all that stuff to them now, so it'll be ready to go by this fall. And so later this spring, I'll start working with Cochrane to get them all their documents that they need to review before we even bid this. The trail connection and the Flag Plaza, like I said, will be different, but we can add it, they told us we can add it on, when we're bidding out the actual trail connection, it can be added on to construction. We just can't use grant funding for the actual Flag Plaza stuff, so. So that's that. The gist of it is the flagpoles will be repositioned there to around the brick plaza. We'll be reusing the existing flagpoles, though. There'll be some landscaping that will be put in there, so you'll see some green, not just the color green asphalt. You'll see like landscaping green up there. You'll see a landscaping bed that will be, you know, in the spring and summer will have colorful flowers in it. Bring some color to that end of the park, or really to the park in general. It's kind of drab down there.
Who's gonna do that, Mike?
Well, we'll be,
Gonna do it?
the
Master
landscaping bed will be
gardeners.
put in with the project, but then we'll be planting it. Once the bed's put in, we'll be planting the bed, so.
Do Garden Club want to take that?
Yeah, I mean, we'll figure, yeah, someone will, between volunteers and probably Washington Bloom, Garden Club, you know, you name it. We'll be doing that, so. Any questions on this? I just wanted to make sure you kind of saw the plan and recognized I've been talking about it for so long, but I don't know if you actually, at one point, we thought this was all gonna happen, you know, in the spring, the trail connection and the bathroom and the flag plaza, and then early fall last year, when I realized funding was gonna be an issue, it got split into phase 1 and phase 2. And it got kind of, this part of it, I feel like, kind of got forgotten about since it's not happening for a while. But then when we got the donation, I wanted to make sure you guys had an idea of what the donation was gonna go towards. Questions?
Thank the donor.
Yes. They have been thanked.
Thanks, Gavin. The Riverfront Park Rail Tree Stabilization Project.
All right, let me click out of this and get this one going up here. Urban Forestry has been working on a bank stabilization project on the riverfront. And so it is not finalized. And this document shows the trees called out with the white, in the white boxes will be new trees. All the other colorful dots there that don't have names to them, you have to look at the legend, those are existing trees. And so we're having some major erosion down there in front of the boat club down there. And that whole area through there is just, it's not good. And then in the park master plan also, they identified the new parking lot down there. They, in meetings with them on the phone, they used the expression that it's like one big desert down there of, you know, it's an asphalt desert of no trees and just grass down there. And so staff worked up a proposal for some trees down there too. There's no funding for this year. At the MPRI conference recently, I was talking to the union director and, well, the former union director, she's in Owensville now. She did a project when she was in union, and it must have been along a creek, because she gave me the idea. She's like, well, you should ask MDC what their thoughts are on this, and they could give you advice. But MDC also has trim grants. They're called trim grants, and we tried to get a trim grant for the planting on First Parkway, which we were denied for. And one of the biggest reasons we were denied on it is because it wasn't in a park, basically. It wasn't benefiting enough people in the community. It was mainly benefiting the people on First Parkway up there. So, because I had applied for it and got denied. And so I'm hoping that I might be able to apply for a trim grant for this. It is in a park, and it is doing a lot of bank stabilization. So I reached out to MDC this week, or last week. On Friday, sent an email and sent this plan to my contact. Didn't hear anything. Yesterday, I realized I didn't hear anything from him. I followed back up, resent the email to him, and got like an auto-generated response that he's retiring on April 1st. So I don't know how soon we'll get MDC or Corps of Engineers to. The union director was saying in her project, it was along a creek, and they brought in the Corps of Engineers for advice too. And so I also sent this plan to a councilman who lives down on West Front Street down there, and just to make him aware that this could be going on, because the view, the sight line from some of those newer condos and things down there, that's a big deal. And what we're trying to do here is have a formalized tree planting that does bank stabilization, that will also look good throughout the year, but also look good from Front Street. And when these trees get big enough where we could limb them up a little bit and you can still see through the trees or under the trees to the river and still have a nice, because right now, when engineering was creating this document, first she put on existing trees. Well, no, first she put on the new trees and no existing trees and sent it to me. And I was like, well, this looks like I took a dart, you know, just threw it at a map, because there was trees all over with big gaps. And I was like, all right, well, can you add the existing trees with the new trees so people can see kind of formalized line and plan of what we got going on here. And so that's what you're seeing here. like I said, there's no funding for this yet. I will have to either budget for it in the next fiscal year or try to get a grant of some kind, or both.
Help me. At the Urban Forestry Council meeting, didn't at one point in time it was mentioned that there would be basically 60 feet between trees?
I think we did, Josh did have some kind of measurement between the trees, yes.
Doesn't this look a lot more compact than
It
that?
does because of the size of the map, yeah.
Is that
I mean,
not-
it's a big area.
I
like-
realize that, but this is not scaled.
No,
Okay.
but we might need to, yeah, that's a good point. I do remember us talking about a number anyways between the trees, so. Like I said, it's not a finalized map anyways, and I figured MDC would, if they review it, they're probably gonna have some suggestions, maybe different than, what urban forestry does on types of trees that may do very well with the bank stabilization. And I know the councilman I sent it to also, he had a very specific request of no cottonwoods because the seed, the snow, if you will, clogs up their air conditioners, and he goes, I realize there are a number of them already down there, but he goes, it would be nice not to add any more down there. And so I'll take that into consideration too. But I didn't change it on here. Engineering, this is like the third draft of this, and it is time consuming because of how she has to do it. And I didn't wanna, I'm trying to save as many changes, go to her once or twice more and not 15 times more to have her redo the map every time. So, I will make a note on that we try to either get it to scale or at least denote on there how many feet are between trees.
How many total trees are you talking about?
Oh, that's a good question. I did know that. I think it was like 26 or 28, something like that, yeah.
26, quick count.
And we had a rough estimate, Josh did, I think, a rough estimate, if I remember correctly. I don't have the paperwork in front of me. I was gonna be like, I think around $4,000 to $5,000 for the trees.
Per tree?
No, for all of them.
Yeah, so what size were you,
15 gallon trees, so pretty big, because what we've been running into down there, we've planted some smaller, Gavin, because you're on tree board, some smaller community grant trees that we get for free, and they're, about this tall sometimes. And we've put the protective barrier on them to kind of mark them, we've mulched around them. We planted like 5 of them or 6 of them down there 2 years ago. All of a sudden, they started disappearing. And then last year there was like 2 or 3 that I was babying them, like they were my pet project. Because the bank grows up in weeds. If you're near the boat club, they kind of do a good job of trimming around theirs. Our contractor trims around park benches, but there's areas of that just kind of grow up in weeds. And it occasionally does get cut by someone, I think probably some of the boat club dock owners down there. Well, I had this tree I was babying towards the parking lot down there on the west trail, and all of a sudden, I went down there and the tree's gone. Someone had ripped it, pulled it up out of the ground by the roots and tossed it aside.
Laying there?
Yeah, it was just laying there. They didn't mow over it, they didn't trim it, they didn't cut into it with the weed eater. Someone literally pulled it out of the ground, just threw it off to the side.
Oh, man.
But a lot of the other ones we think had been hit with weed eaters and mowers and stuff like that. So we want bigger trees that are easier to see and we can.
right, harder to dig out of the
Yeah.
ground?
So, I guess questions with that?
Is
Not
it,
yet.
Senior Center update.
I was gonna ask you, that seedless sweet gum you got there on top, does that mean it doesn't get the balls?
Correct.
No. That's it, seedless.
What a blessing.
Yeah. Any other questions on that?
Fights along the trail, and I can see teenager already going nuts.
Senior Center update. The only real update, I don't have much of an update. The moving date, or the date that the construction's supposed to be completed, at the Knights of Columbus Hall, our target date's April 14th, which is a Monday. And that would mean we would start moving stuff then. It doesn't mean they're moving in or they're gonna be, playing bingo on April 14th. That's just the moving date. And so I've been coordinating just this week, asset lists and different things like that. trying to figure out what's getting moved, where it's going, who's taking it, who's moving it. The senior center, Aging Ahead, is going through a transition themselves. Debbie Siegel, the manager, retired on February 28th, and so they have a temp person there, which I think is one of the cooks, that's kind of running the show, and they're trying to hire someone. So more to come on that, but things are moving along there. I have one thing that's not on the agenda, but you do have a handout for it. So I have the last fee revision. I've been working on this for like 2 years, and there's a variety of reasons why it's taken so long. And the most recent one is you all recently approved some fees for the park, for the code, city code, like pickleball court fees and a motorsports arena fee. And I was creating the document to take this to city council, and I did it the way I thought it should be done. And then I was told that it wouldn't work. And then the city attorney had to redo it. And even he had a hell of a time redoing it. And then it wasn't formatted correctly, because I was supposed to take it to the March, the first meeting in March. And it got so complicated, I gave up. I couldn't meet the deadline, city clerk's deadline of having on the agenda. And then I knew there was a few more fees that I was working on anyways, that I needed to bring to you all, to get your approval on, a recommendation on, and then take it to city council. And then we can put it all in one document and reformat it, and we can just be done with it finally. So what I have in front of you is, we've had, the first one is a disc golf course fee. We've had disc golf tournaments there, and it's always been, I thought this was kind of the unwritten rule with the, at least maybe with the more recreational tournaments they've had there, is that if the public, someone from the public that's not playing the tournament shows up, they kind of just let them play through. Yeah, or share the course with them, whatever. Well, we had a tournament in September. They had the proper insurance, they had all, everything they needed. We didn't have a fee for it, but I'd like to see people using it, especially these tournaments. They bring in people from out of town to play at the tournament, so they're eating in town, they're spending money, they're drinking beer, whatever. But we didn't have a fee. Well, we had a resident show up that day in September with his brother or brother-in-law that was from out of town, and it was a really nice day in September, and they wanted to play disc golf, and they were turned away by the tournament. Because the tournament had it rented. I can't necessarily doubt the tournament, they technically did have it rented. There was no fee though involved. We didn't have a fee to charge them, but we knew about it, and we had them fill out a special event permit. So we knew it was going on, but they turned away that guy, and that guy gave me an earful, which I don't blame him for doing that. And so I told him I would work on, in the off-season, a fee. I mean, he's like, I just don't understand. He goes, I get it that maybe they want to rent out the course for their tournament, but you gave it to them for nothing. And I said, yeah, because we didn't have a fee. And he's like, that's not right. Like, you should have a fee. And then there should be signage posted down at the bottom when you pull in. He goes, I would have seen the signage, I would have known what's going on, blah, blah. I said, you're 100% right. And so this is what I'm proposing. I did some research on area, local, around this area, disc golf courses that do rent out their courses. They range from as little as $50 to all the way up to $175 for a day. A lot of them have big pavilions on site. So really you're renting the pavilion in case of rain. That's the main place where they function out of. Your awards are there, the tournament director's there, you check in there, you check out there. We have a pavilion, it's not huge, but we do have a pavilion. And then I would want to do a deposit in case, they parked on the grass and they cut some ruts or something like that. There's not a whole lot you can damage there. The main thing would be if someone rutted up the course or some turf area with cars or something like that. As far as what we've done in the past, like the Elks and JC's, when that was first built, they had a tournament or two there to kind of recoup some of their money that they invested in that to help it get built, that they donated the baskets for and things like that. And so when they did that, we supplied some extra trash cans and some parking signs and different, so you can see that we might need to, if there is a tournament for the $150, we might supply some trash cans, designate some places for them to park, and then put out some closure signs, and have a permit too up on the bulletin board up there, so people would know that it's closed. So what I'm proposing to you is, there's no fee now, but I'm saying charge $150. That would get them, the course closed down for the whole day if they needed it closed for a whole day. Some of these tournaments are only 4-hour tournaments, like one round. 2-round tournaments generally run about 8 hours from what I've been told and research I've found. So likely, even if they're renting it for a whole day, if it's 8 hours, there's still time in the morning, depending on when they start, that public could use it, or likely in the evening when they're done, the public could still use it too.
If they rent it for a half day, we just cut it in half?
No, we're only
No,
saying
you're not doing
it's
that.
$150 whether you use it all day, or, you know, a
Okay.
couple hours, or 8 hours, or 12 hours,
Okay.
just to keep things simple. I don't think a lot of people, because the other thing is you have to meet the city's insurance requirements. And so
Yes.
this course in September, they played through the Professional Disc Golf Association. They were a member of that, and they got their insurance through them. And so they were able to meet the city's insurance requirements. Most rec tournaments can't, and they don't, and so then we don't let it. Then it's not closed down. They may still have their tournament there, but they have to let the public, you know, they're not supposed to be able to turn the public away, because they don't have it rented.
Do they charge for these tournaments?
Yes. But they do charge, like this one in September was a bigger one, and all the tournaments charge, it's just how much they charge. And most of the money they charge goes back out into what they're giving away in cash prizes, or prizes in general, however they do it. Like this bigger one in September, I imagine the guy that was running it probably did keep some money, because it was, I think, a fairly large tournament. But but even then, I think the way disc golf tournaments function is the majority of the money they collect, not every penny, but the majority of it goes back out in prizes.
Is this gonna be a surprise to them, or are they aware that this is happening?
The tournament that ran it in September, I contacted some other parks departments, and they've ran it at like St. Charles, and they've had similar issues with them there, but they were able to rent it, so they had it reserved, so they were able to turn the public away. Here, they had it rented, but we didn't have a fee, and we just assumed that they were gonna let people play through, but that was not the case. But I haven't talked to them, but they would have they shouldn't have a problem paying $150 and a $100 deposit, which they would get back as long as they don't destroy anything. Because like I said, I contacted like St. Charles. St. Charles is quite a bit more than ours, but they have some really nice pavilions and things like that. And it's in a park where there's other activities going on, so their fee is quite a bit higher. And then sometimes they charge for, you know, if you have 100 people playing this tournament, then sometimes cities want $1 per player. I'm not trying to make money off, my intention is not to make money off this, and I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. We just want to have a fee, so we have a fee. When someone that has all the proper documents, the insurance and all that stuff, if they have all that stuff, then they're able to rent it. And then we can say, yes, it's closed down. We would put it on social media, put signs up at the course that's closed, so it's obvious that it's closed down. In the past, it was never obvious that it was closed down. We just kind of winged it, basically.
Are these 1 or 2 day tournaments?
This is for one day. So they could do a 2-day tournament, they'd have to pay the price twice. But the one we had in September was just a 1-day tournament.
Yeah, this is per day.
Yeah. So I guess the disc golf, any other questions or any concerns, or? When we get through this, I'll need a recommendation from you guys on these fees, so. The next one is, we currently have these fees. We have a striping fee or a lining fee for soccer and football. Now, soccer fee, we're not necessarily using because soccer does their own fields right now. But in the future, if that would ever change, we do have a current fee, but we're not charging it to anyone because we don't have anyone to charge it to. Because soccer does their own.
Isn't it their responsibility
Yeah, it's part of their
currently to do their
contract,
own
yeah.
lining?
But if you wanted to have a soccer game at Midway and you wanted us to line it, then we would charge you, or at Burger
Gotcha.
North or somewhere
Gotcha.
like that.
Gotcha.
We're not having that demand right now, but that, you never know, it could change. But the first one is football. And so staff brought to my attention that we revised these fees, the last time we looked at them was in 2019. And the initial layout, so there's always more time in the layout because there's nothing on the ground yet. We have the corners marked with pins so we can find them with a metal detector, and that's how you start.
You don't have to
So the
swear.
initial layout's $200, that's what we're charging now, and then a relining fee's $100. Well, we did the math, and our initial layout and lining, we got $240 in staff hours, and then $192, and this is per field, $192 in paint. So one field for the initial layout's costing us $432. I'm not saying that we should charge, you'll see here in a minute, I'm not saying we should charge that, but I just think we need to raise our prices a little bit. For our relining then, we're currently charging $100 a field, because it's fairly easy, once it's laid out, then you just go back through with the little machine and reline it. But we got $100 in staff hours and $140. The biggest thing with these is the paint cost has risen over the last few years. And $144 in paint, so it costs us $244 to do a relining of the field. But we're only charging $100. So I proposed just to up both of them by $100. That still doesn't get us, the initial layout and lining would be $300. It's really costing us $432. And then the relining would be $200. We're charging $100 right now, but it's really costing us $244. So I'm suggesting we charge $200. I don't know. I don't know. I had to have a starting point, so I don't know what you guys think about that. I don't want to shock them.
Do you guys scalp the yard markers? Cut them short? You know what I'm talking about?
I know they do that with baseball. They might do the perimeter, like on soccer and football. That's a Chad question.
Been to some games, I don't remember seeing it
Okay.
shorter.
I know they do at the foul lines with baseball.
Okay.
For some reason, I was thinking we might do it. Well, we don't do soccer anymore, but for some reason, I was thinking we may have done it in the past for soccer, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Why do you ask?
It's a cost.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I know we do it for the foul lines for baseball.
So that,
And
And
how
the
is
other
it-
thing with football, so they need, I think it was last spring, they run a flag football, and we were really pushed on time. It's this time of year, we got 800 things going on. And it was kind of last minute request on it. They're like, can you line the fields for us? And we're like, well, would you, we'd really like for you to line them. Can you try it out and see how you like it? They came back to us and said, we'll never, ever do that again. It was so much work, and the lines were crooked. Like, it's an art, You can't just have the new guy do it, that's for sure. You can, but you'll get complaints. And they came back to us and said, we don't want to do that again. We'll never ask. We want you to do it. That's fine. Like I said, so we know that fact, and then there are costs that, the price of paint's gone up and everything, so.
How is it determined, and who determines when to reline?
Well, relining, they'll determine, like, for their leagues or whatever, they'll ask us to, it's usually like soccer, like, I know a lot of times it's once a week, depending on the growing season, how early or late it is in the year, it might be they might be able to stretch it once every 2 weeks. But if they want it done, they tell us and we do it.
Okay.
We try to fit it in as best we can. And generally, we know their schedule, like, we expect them to ask once a week or
Thank you.
every 2 weeks. So questions on football, I don't know what you think about, basically we're raising it $100, both fees $100 to try to recoup some of our costs.
one's a 50% increase, the other one's a 100% increase. That's gonna be a sticker shock down. But, you can.
It's what it costs.
You can justify
Yeah.
it with the cost, so you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what it costs.
And they
so-
told us they don't want to do it.
Yeah, if they don't want to do it, then
Yeah.
you pay.
I'm not saying anything against it, because you can justify it with your cost right there.
Because we're still losing.
And
money.
likely paint's gonna keep going up and,
Yeah, I mean,
cost.
Paint cost is a paint cost regardless who does it, right? If you're gonna paint that whole field for $100 worth of labor, good luck.
Right.
Okay, next one is, electric lines?
Nope,
Anybody
soccer.
have
Well,
any
it's gotta go through soccer.
Soccer
Like I
field?
said, this one, we don't use currently, we don't have a use, right, there's no demand for us to line soccer fields right now, but, we just evaluated since we were doing football too. And so, right now, we charge $100, the initial layout and lining is $100, and then the relining was 50. After looking at it, our initial cost for layout and lining in staff hours is 240 in man hours, and $100 in paint, which gives you 340. We're only charging $100. And then the relining, is $60 in staff fees and $50 in paint for a total of 110, and we're charging 50 right now. So I propose just to up it, the 100 to 200 for the initial layout and lining, and then the relining from $50 to $100. I don't know if anyone has any
Once again,
questions.
justified.
Yeah.
Because we're still losing.
Okay, then we'll move on, finally to the fairgrounds. This would be a new fee. We don't have fees for this currently, but we do get requested to do this. And let me first start off saying, we have to do it when the fair, we do it for the fair, but it's in their contract, as part of their contract. So the, marking the entire fairgrounds, we're likely not gonna do that except for the fair, and it's in their contract. Most other events, say we have the monster truck event that we had 6 years ago, back in 2019. They likely won't have us mark the entire fairgrounds, because what we're really marking is where they're driving in tent posts into the ground, so we don't hit irrigation or electric lines and things like that. And so say the monster truck event happened, they were mostly in the motorsports area, and I think, if I remember right, a little bit over by main stage. So maybe we just mark those two areas. So you can see the price, what it costs us to mark the entire fairgrounds like we do for the fair, what it would cost us is like almost $1,300. And so you'll see my proposed fee of just $500 to try to recoup a little bit of our costs. So like, if the monster truck event came in and said, all right, well, we need an area marked over here by the motorsports area, and then we're gonna do some activity over by the main stage. All right, so we're gonna mark two areas. Still gonna, it's not gonna cost you, it's not gonna cost us $1,300 to mark that, but it is gonna cost us some money, and it's two different areas. So I just came up, Chad and I were kinda talking, we came up with $500 to charge if they want multiple areas marked in the fairgrounds. Then the other fee that we do get, that we do use some for like Oxfest and things like this, is when Oxfest wants to have their concert, we have to mark all the area in front of the main stage because they put up tents there. And so it costs us one employee 2 hours at $40 an hour to mark that, it's $80. I just picked a round number of 100, we charge them $100 to mark that area for their event. So that's in addition to the special event that they're paying to use the amphitheater and all that. If they're using pavilions and all that stuff's extra in the cost of their event, this would be what it costs our staff. Like, I have to drag a guy off of mowing grass or whatever he or she is doing, if we had she's, females, to go do this, take time out of their day to mark this for this event. And right now, we don't charge a fee for that, but I'm proposing with the other fairground fees, we have a rental fee for the fairgrounds, for the state, but we don't have one for the stage, but, the actual stage, but we probably will in the future since we're getting that new roof, on there, is to incorporate this into the city code that when we do have a special event, a special concert, monster truck event, things like that, that we do have a fee to help. Because right now, my guys have to drop whatever we're doing, if the monster truck wants to have an event, here in April, and we're in the middle, we're 2 weeks behind on cutting grass, I still have to send a guy out there to mark the fairgrounds for their event, because they can't have the event unless we don't want someone getting hurt by putting a fence post or a spike into the electric line out there, or irrigation line. Any thoughts on the proposed fee of $500 for what we consider the entire fairgrounds, or parts of it, and then just the area in front of the amphitheater being $100?
Should there be a designation for just marking this motorsports arena area?
Well, there's not a whole lot of grass, we're not marking inside the actual, I just use that as
There's
an
no,
example.
okay,
Like,
okay. There's no
there's
electric,
not, like, it's all pavement down there. There's just that little grass hillside next to the bleachers, but you're not really setting a tent up on a hillside there.
okay.
But it's the other parts, like but if the monster truck event wanted to have, do something up by the home ec pavilion, or something by first aid, or, something by the admin building, or something by the pickleball courts, it would take in, that's what we're considering like the whole fairground.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, I need
Question
a-
I have, do we really wanna just say in front of the amphitheater, or just say one location within the fairgrounds or so? Like you said, they could use any piece of that, right? Any, around the fairground?
Yeah, you could say,
You gotta send somebody out there just to check one spot. It's $100.
should we put in something like more than?
Do we wanna be
one?
that specific, I guess is the question, if it's pretty minimal cost for even,
Yeah,
And I'd think about considering baking it into Oxfest contract. If it's in the fair's contract, why don't we do it for everybody? I mean,
we don't have it's not a contract per se, it's a permit. Yeah, special event, like special event permit.
so, it's just another added fee that you gotta put onto something. Do you not just bake it in and say, we're gonna assume we're gonna have to go mark this? Because is there any repercussions? I say, no, I don't need that, and I still come out and put a tent in, I drive it right through.
or not, don't limit it to the area. If you're putting a tent up and you gotta drive a stake,
I,
we're gonna have, we have to come out and mark it.
there's a lot of what-ifs there to me, but
Well, it's almost, if you rent it and you're gonna put a tent up, you have to pay $100 or $200 for this.
I get that. I say I'm not gonna put a tent up.
And you do anyway?
Somebody still does,
Gotta be liable.
Is that $100 really gonna be a big deal in the grand scheme of things? I don't know, but.
The fee is because of how, we have in the code, you can rent the motorsports building, you can rent the motorsports now,
It's about
the
how you
entire
break it down.
fairground, so it's kind of connected to those fees, not necessarily concerts. The big one, the marking the entire fairgrounds, is meant to coordinate with, like, those big events
Multiple areas.
that's in our city code. The little concerts that pop up, they fill out special event permits, but regardless, they have to be marked, because you're using that area in front of the amphitheater. In my mind, it's two different things, kind of two different, I guess, documents almost.
You have a question?
Yes.
You could update the permit. Right there. They fill out a permit. If they're not running full.
Yeah, it would be on the permit, like, we would have a line on there, do you need electric marked in, in front of for your concert? Check yes, if you do, it's $100, $100. 'Cause
I
it's
get
like a
that. I'm saying
checklist
If I'm
that
renting the amphitheater, I'm probably not gonna worry about a $100 fee on top of it to do that, because almost everybody's gonna want that marked, in my mind. When Central goes out there, aren't they gonna put tents up too?
they don't need it, they don't.
They
don't
put
do
up
that.
vendor
Well,
tents.
food truck,
There's food trucks and vendors when they do their concert. You pull in and they have an area where it's seating, but I don't know that there's a lot of marking on the ground, but there's food trucks at one end. And, so yeah, and I know that there are food trucks in their tents, but I guess I look at it like, if I don't pay a fee, like you were saying, and I put a tent up somewhere where I cause damage, the marking is probably more to tell you, don't put something here, here, and here, because that's where there would be damage would occur. And I think it's a smart idea to let who's ever renting it know places that could cause them problems.
It's like
What
an
I'm
extra.
saying is if I'm the city and I'm renting the amphitheater, I would like to include it in just in case, and have it baked into the fee, or into the
Oh,
rental.
instead of a set, I see what you're saying.
Another line item for that.
Right,
And
right.
again, we can sit here all night and talk about whether we
Right.
need to do that for any pavilion out there, so,
Right, I get what you're saying.
yeah.
to me, it's just any tent that requires large staking or just requires a $100 fee, period. Don't care where you put it in the fair. or the
Now, if you're not gonna put up a tent or anything, do you,
don't have
then
to
do
do
you
it.
strike that fee and not charge it? Okay.
That's basically, we're asking them, do they need to do it? And if they do, they get charged the fee.
Yeah, so like on the permit, like a special use permit that we have, we use them for all our events, whether it's a concert or whatever. It's like a special service, so like some cities charge, like if you're closing down the street, you want cones delivered to block off the street, they charge you for that. You know, we don't, the city, Washington doesn't, but, some cities do, and so this is like that. So you're having a concert out there, okay, you're going through the check boxes,
We actually do now.
oh,
You have to have a fee to do a block party and shut it down for that reason, so I get it.
cost of
Just,
delivery of the cones or
how,
whatever.
how do we recoup it? So,
So that's kind of how I looked at it, is just, you have the option, you may not need it, like East Central doesn't need it, but if you, most probably are gonna need it, if you do need it, you have to check the box, and just know that it's gonna be $100.
$100 per location, maximum $500 for the entire fairgrounds, to mark everywhere.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah, there you
bad.
Instead of amphitheater location.
So $100
No
single,
matter where you put it at.
Per location is good.
what was that, $100 single location,
Yep.
and,
now you're gonna have to define what a location is, but I mean, we're thinking, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, single location,
It's got a Philadelphia lawyer.
$500, what was it,
You
Jeff?
could, you could mark off sections and make it per
More
section.
That's
than-
why I'm saying,
more than
make it
one
in the
location,
contract,
or-
You don't have to worry about it.
It's $100 per location, up to $500. I mean, if you're gonna do the entire fairgrounds, $500 to do the whole, wherever you want it at. That's, I mean, I'm not saying, I'm telling you.
All right, so I got $100 per location, up to $500,
You can have that argument when you fill out your paperwork.
There you go.
yeah. Because they have to sit down and meet with us anyway, so,
Something tells me they're gonna be accommodating.
all right. So I
If
got $100 per location, up to $500 max.
For the fairgrounds.
I make a motion that we approve these recommendations to go before the council.
I second.
We have a motion by Gavin and second by Tessie to approve these suggestions that Wayne has. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Anything else, Wayne?
That's all I have.
A motion for, our next meeting is April the 9th.
Let's adjourn.
Our next
Or April
meeting
the
is
2nd.
April the 2nd, and then the 9th again.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, Mark, April
motion to
2nd.
adjourn.
Yes.
Gavin, second by Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
I got another meeting I gotta get
Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, okay.
Rush, rush, rush.
Yeah.
How's that, Miss Smith?